So this is going to be just fairly unscripted. I wanted to just get some of my thoughts out about the Witcher movie, Witcher anime, Nightmare of the Wolf. So it's the new anime that came out on Netflix recently that follows the Witcher Vesemir. Within the first few minutes, I noticed some issues and realized that this isn't going to be a lore-friendly viewing pleasure. It's got some ridiculous stuff. You have Vesemir, who has a chain that comes out of a... It looked... At first watch, I thought it came out of his Witcher medallion, but I think he's got something on the side of him. It shoots out this chain, and he can just swing around the trees like a chimpanzee. It's a weird thing for a Witcher to do. Fine. And then he's got crazy powerful signs. Like, these signs aren't, you know, small, weak magic like they are. They don't need their fingers. They don't have to finger signs out. They can just shoot them out of their hands. Like a Kamehameha. Like, that's literally what it looks like. It's a blue orb for Ard, and it just comes out. It's incredibly powerful. So those were like immediately what I noticed with the movie within the first few minutes, and I was like, this is a little ridiculous. That might be just like anime tropes and how anime is. I don't watch a lot of anime, so I don't have much perspective for it. But my bigger issue with it really had nothing to do with stuff like that. It had to do with the actual plot. So I'm going to do a quick plot summary and then jump into why I think the main plot of this movie is fucking terrible. So you have Vesemir doing Vesemir stuff, being a Witcher. He kills this Leshen, finds out it's speaking Elder Speech, which is, I believe, the language of the elves. And then he's confused as fuck by that. He goes, talks to his elf friend. He's like, yeah, that's weird. Some fucking thing. I don't actually remember what the elf says. He's a minor character. He's in very few scenes. He's not that important. And then you have this character, Tetra, who's introduced. And Tetra's whole personality is she fucking hates Witchers. She thinks Witchers are scum of the earth. She wants every Witcher eradicated. She thinks every Witcher needs to die. They should all be murdered. Bloody murder. Kill every Witcher. This is her character. Witchers get in a fight. They get in trouble. They get sent to the fucking Kedwini King. I'm sorry, we got to pronounce it the way they say it. The Cadwini King, because that is a way you say Kedwin now. Whatever. He sends Tetra and Vesemir out to go find what's killing their people out in the woods. Vesemir thought it was the Leshen. It wasn't just the Leshen, so he has to go out there with Tetra. They go. Tetra bitches about how she hates Witchers, how they're all selfish and greedy and all they care about is money. Like Jews, and that's the way that is. So she goes and she's like, la-di-da-di-da, I fucking hate Witchers. And then they go and they find these elven ruins, and then they find the elf dude, and he's like, I was here looking for dead little girls, and there's a big pile of dead little girls there that they find out have been experimented on. And the experiments seem similar to Witcher mutations, so they're like, oh shit, somebody's experimenting on little girls. And then they find another little girl that's still alive, and they take her, and then that plot point, that's it. That plot point goes nowhere, moved on, little girl disappears, is gone from the show. Or anime, movie, whatever. So Tetra destroys the ruins, and Vesemir goes back to Kaer Morhen. Tetra now is like, yeah, fuck the Witchers, I'm gonna go kill them all. So she comes with the Kedwinian army, a bunch of peasants, and then she summons drowners and basilisks, I believe, from what I saw. There was probably just randomly drawn monsters that weren't really sensible. But she spawns a bunch of monsters. The monsters attack Kaer Morhen, overwhelm Kaer Morhen. Vesemir destroys the monster creation operation that the Witchers were doing, because the Witchers actually were creating the monsters. And then they all get overwhelmed, and there's a Witcher with one arm, and he does a Ard sign with his stump. That's and they get attacked. It was Vesemir's mentor that was causing the problems the whole time. Then Vesemir accidentally kills his girlfriend, and then blah blah blah. That's the plot. Now you might notice there's a lack of enthusiasm in my voice when I tell you this, because if you haven't caught on, it's not very good. Tetra's motivation for hating Witchers is about 2 sentences in the whole movie, and there's no arc for her. At the start of the movie, she hates Witchers. She goes on this journey with Vesemir, and it ends with her killing Witchers. She doesn't learn anything. She doesn't change because she wouldn't need to. Because the way the plot goes is that everything Tetra said was right. The Witchers were greedy. They created these monsters, and those monsters killed a bunch of people, and then tried to create more monsters, and all Witchers are bad. And that's her justification, is all Witchers are bad. And the Witchers, from her perspective, are, and from what happens in the movie, are. So why is that a problem? Because that's not how that battle happened. And not only that, it takes away from the original message. So the actual attack on Kaer Morhen was done by a bunch of angry, prejudiced peasants that didn't like anything that wasn't human. They hated non-humans. They hated mutants. And Witchers are a mutant. And they hate them. And the fact that their anger could ball up, cause them to attack Kaer Morhen and kill all of the Witchers, is a much better plot point than the Witchers were actually the bad guys, though. Because all that does is it says that the hatred and the anger that Tetra had was fully justified. And it takes away from what makes a good story, which is, so Tetra was right to be prejudiced because of her one sentence motivation, which is a nobleman got killed in front of her. It might have been her dad or something. I really don't remember, because it's one sentence in the entire fucking movie. So you have that one small bit of motivation, but then you justify all of her actions. Her slaughter on Kaer Morhen is completely justified. Why is that a good plot? Why is that what you focus on for your movie? Like, you have a completely one-dimensional character that has no rigid change, has no development at all, and that character is correct. We have Vesemir, who questions a bit of the Witcher's teachings, but still ends up not changing either. None of these characters show any level of real development. You know, there's no character development at all. But it's such a ridiculously weird thing to do. And I don't understand why that was what was chosen. I think in terms of what would have made this movie better is if they had gone out with Tetra and said, okay, look, we Witchers aren't all bad, you know. They had found the elven ruins and found that it was some creature that was trying to study Witcher mutations, but the Witchers themselves had nothing to do with it. And Tetra would learn from this mistake, but she's already riled up all the peasants and riled up all the Kedwenis, and they're all coming to Kaer Morhen to attack, and she can't stop them from that attack. And because of her own distrust of Witchers, it causes this massive attack on Kaer Morhen, and she stands and she watches all this destruction happen. What a better plot that would have been. How much more exciting and emotional that could have been. But instead they said, nah, fuck it. Tetra's justified, but she's still the bad guy. What? That's The Witcher. Nightmare of the Wolf, would not recommend watching it unless you have the power of God, anime, and vodka on your side. Thank you. Have a good day.